This morning, President Trump tours Central Texas as the search for missing people continues after deadly flash floods.
We're going to see much quieter conditions over the weekend. Still a small chance of rain, so I'll track all of that coming up.
And we'll be taking a look at that damage from last night's storms. Good morning and thanks for waking up with us this weekend. I'm Michelle Renee Quinn.
And I'm Jacob Madison. You're watching Weekend Mornings. Today is Saturday, July 12th. Stormy last couple of days. It did feel like for Madison at least, it was actually worse Thursday for us than yesterday, but yesterday some areas got hit really bad.
Yes, they did. Viewers all over southern Wisconsin sent us photos as the weather system passed through. Take a look at this damage here. A tree fell on a car in Monroe. Now this picture is from Bailey Hill. What do you think about that?
That is definitely very scary, and it reminds me that when you are taking pictures, safety is the #1 priority. Now I am assuming this photo was taken after the storm had passed. Here's another photo. This is a shot of the actual storm sent by Amara from Madison, showing a very defined shelf cloud. We had a lot of photos like this sent in. Pretty scary story. This one even more incredible. This is from Josh in Belleville. So again, definitely be safe, and I feel like in those photos it's okay to take a quick picture, then get inside.
Run back inside, yes.
But yeah, some pretty strong storms.
Absolutely. And now what are we looking at today? We just had those storms, so can you tell me a little bit about our little weather reports? What should we be prepared for, Jacob?
Yeah, we'll see a few small storms today. The extent of them, though, will be a lot less than yesterday. Now, before I talk about that, I still want to talk about a few other things with the storms last night. So here are all the storm reports across southern Wisconsin. These don't include the flood reports, which we did have several of those as well. I do want to highlight one of the wind reports in Monroe. This is radar estimated wind speeds at 79 miles per hour. That's very close to a minor EF0 tornado, and these winds were over a larger area. So definitely some very powerful storms. I also talked about the flooding reports, and here's a look at the rainfall over the last 24 hours, especially in southwest Wisconsin, seeing almost 2 inches of rain. That's at least radar estimated, so the actual totals may be a little bit different, but still plenty of rain in southwest Wisconsin. Now, here's a look at the current radar. Not seeing much. There are a few showers north of La Crosse impacting regions near Eau Claire, but for the most part, we're not going to see much today. Now, we still have a chance of storms, but they're going to be pretty isolated, mostly going to occur for Madison and areas to the east. The further west you're located, the less likely you will see rain, and even those areas that do see rain today, likely will see it very briefly. Very minor chance that we're going to see a potential strong storm, but really the only hazard will be strong winds. And then the later we get into the evening, we are going to see those storms clear out with dry conditions tonight and tomorrow. Now, there is one blemish to the forecast. I know you like me using that word, but it's the air quality, and I'll talk more about that coming up a little bit later.
All right, we will check back in for that blemish. Thank you, Jacob. And you got folks at home can track the storms and the weather and all of the First Warn weather on our app. Download it wherever you get your apps. Just search WISC Weather. Now to more top stories. President Trump and the First Lady promised support for flood victims in Central Texas as they toured the devastation yesterday. The president defended the emergency response to the disaster as the search for victims continues. CBS News correspondent Winnie Gillette has more on the efforts from New York.
Music, flowers, and candles brought a community together at a vigil in Kerr County, Texas, where survivors recounted their harrowing stories.
I held on for a couple hours in a tree.
And tears were shed for those killed or missing, their pictures lining a fence.
You weep about the kids and just like the parents and what they are going through.
A week after the floods, the wrenching search is still ongoing for more than 170 people, with over 2,100 involved in the rescue effort.
There's really no place to walk on the riverbanks, so you're sliding up and down, you're holding branches to keep out of the water.
President Trump and the First Lady visited the area Friday, meeting with first responders and taking photos with them.
I've never seen anything like it. I've seen a lot of bad ones. I've gone to a lot of hurricanes, a lot of tornadoes. I've never seen anything like this.
He bristled when asked about a lack of warning as the water rose.
Only a very evil person would ask a question like that.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott says a disaster warning system is in the works.
We are going to put together in a session beginning in 10 days the abilities to ensure better preparation, better alerts, so that people will not be surprised like they were this time.
No survivors have been rescued in Kerr County since the day of the floods. Wendy Gillette, CBS News.
Texas officials say more than 120 people died in the flooding. George Strait is headlining a benefit concert for flood victims on July 27th. Now we're going to take a look at Wall Street. Here are last night's numbers read across all major indices as the Dow loses 279 points, the Nasdaq down 75, and the S&P 500 off by 21. Now to more news around the state. The La Crosse Common Council voted on multiple key issues last night. The city will put $115,000 for security services in parks and parking ramps. Security teams will now be used to patrol there on weekends. And a new downtown housing project is soon to begin. That's at the old La Crosse Tribune building. It will include 260 residential units and commercial space. And affordable housing for people experiencing homelessness just became more accessible as the council passes a decision on the Pathways Held Leases program. The city will now hold a lease with landlords for a set number of units. Those units can then be sublet to those struggling to afford housing. This week, the Universities of Wisconsin Board of Regents voted to allow a tuition increase of up to 5% for campuses across the state. System President Jay Rothman telling News 3 Now the tuition increase is due to inflation. The state budget funds going to the university also came in under what they were requesting. Anytime tuition is raised, it heightens concerns from students about the attainability of education here in Wisconsin. Rothman says this is a balancing act.
And we were extraordinarily mindful as we thought about that tuition increases to ensure that we maintain the status as the most affordable public university system in the Midwest and beyond, because we think that's important.
This is part of a longer discussion we have with President Rothman, which you can see more from the interview right here on News 3 Now this Sunday morning at 10:30 on For the Record. And we're looking ahead to next weekend. On Saturday, Coldplay fans will fill Camp Randall Stadium, but the band will be here for one show and one night only.
Well, I don't believe we're actually going, but we are going. We are excited for everyone that will be.
Absolutely.
This is a big deal for the city because tours of this size often skip the Madison area. The last time a concert this big took place at Camp Randall was the Rolling Stones in 1997. UW-Madison police expect road congestion similar to that of a Badger football game.
Now, those road closures are expected, and we'll keep you updated with those throughout the week and next weekend. But still ahead, a new coffee house is cutting the ribbon and how it's encouraging inclusion and accessibility.
But first, I'll be back with a full look at your weekend forecast and beyond. This is Weekend Mornings. Keep it here.
If you're thinking about taking the kiddos to a pool this summer, Goodman Pool is making policy changes that you need to be aware of. Now at Goodman Pool, the age for children to come without an adult is increasing. Children under 15 must now be accompanied by an adult per pool policy. The change follows a concerning start to the summer season where police were called 8 times in the first 2.5 weeks. That was due to behavioral issues at the pool, including fights among youth and adults.
I want to be clear that this wasn't a decision that happened in a vacuum, that we reached out to the community for help and how to address the situation, because we want to make sure that the pool is enjoyable for everyone.
In addition to the new rule, the pool has introduced a pool monitor program to help manage and disrupt potential issues. This program works in conjunction with lifeguards who do not handle incidents outside the pool area. And if you're heading out for that pool area, that swim, let's check in with Jacob Montesano. See, is there any sun to be expected? Is it a pool day?
There'll definitely be plenty of sun. I would say it's a pretty good pool day. There will be two kind of, as you like to say, blemishes, as I like to say, and you enjoy that word. There will be two blemishes. There's a small chance of storms and there will be some lower air quality. So let's take a look at the 3 things you need to know. That first bullet point, small chance of storms today, but for Sunday and Monday, it's going to be very sunny. So if you're deciding which day to go to the pool, if you're between today and tomorrow, I would say tomorrow is a better day. But today, not going to be too bad overall. Again, we are going to see some lower air quality throughout the entire weekend, whereas the storm chance will just be today. Now, as we take a look at the temperature forecast, lower 80s, upper 70s, I'd say very comfortable swimming weather, especially considering it's not going to be too hot to the point where, it gets, dangerous and uncomfortable when you're not swimming. So very nice temperatures, and we'll see a lot of sunshine. Again, small chance of storms, but if it does rain, it will be very brief. And then for Sunday, we're going to see more sunshine, pretty much a 0% chance of rain tomorrow. So I would say in terms of rainfall and temperatures, it's going to be perfect. Again, we are going to see some lower air quality, but I'll talk about that a little bit later. Now, for the storms today, again, they're going to be very isolated. If they do occur, they'll be very brief, but there is a very small chance some areas could see some stronger storms with a marginal risk for areas northeast of Madison. Really, the only risk will be a storm producing some strong winds, but not as strong as the winds we saw last night. Now, looking at the rainfall forecast again, these are just going to start to pop up around the early afternoon and especially impact Madison and areas to the east. Places to the west have about a 0% chance of rain, especially those of you near the Mississippi River. And these storms, again, going to be very isolated, not going to last very long. A lot of the region won't see any rain at all. They may continue during the evening, but once we get to the overnight hours, we're going to see clear skies, at least for the most part, but will definitely be dry, and that's going to continue for Sunday as well. Now, continuing forward with the rainfall forecast, Monday also looks to be pretty dry, but looking at Tuesday, we are going to see a chance of storms return, but a better chance of rain next week looks to occur on Wednesday, where it looks like we'll see some scattered showers and thunderstorms for much of the afternoon and evening. Could potentially see some severe weather, although the extent of the severe weather is still a little bit up in the air. And then for Thursday, still could see some rainfall, just not quite as much. But the story Thursday will be that temperatures are going to be cooler. Now, here's a recap of those rain chances. Small rain chance today, and then pretty much dry for the rest of the weekend. Mostly dry for Monday as well. Maybe an isolated shower, but that's about it. Then we get to Tuesday, rain chances increase a bit. They continue to increase for Wednesday and then dip again for Thursday and Friday. Now, again, temperatures are going to be cooler by the time we get to Thursday. Maybe even they will be cooler Wednesday as well, but they're going to continue to fall for Thursday. And that's going to be after they warm up for Monday and Tuesday. So this weekend, highs in the lower 80s, upper 80s then for Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday will kind of be in that in-between day. Temperatures may actually fall throughout the day. And then for Thursday and Friday, highs in the middle 70s before they rise back into the lower 80s by the time we get to next weekend.
All right, Jacob, thank you. We'll check back in again shortly. Happening today is the ribbon cutting and official grand opening of Javabilities. That's a coffee shop in Monona where employees with disabilities brew more than just coffee. They are brewing confidence. Co-owner Tim McDonald opened the shop after seeing how difficult it was for people with disabilities to find meaningful work. 10 of his employees have disabilities, including his own son, Zach, who takes orders and serves customers with a smile that rivals the espresso's energy.
It's about feeling like more than just a liability, which is ultimately what a lot of people with disabilities are likely to think about themselves. Being able to serve the drinks, being the front line, that's where I love.
McDonald partners with Achievabilities, that's across the street, and they provide job coaching and training. His employees learn everything from running the cash register to making bank deposits. And for these workers, the job represents more than a paycheck. It's empowerment and purpose in every cup they serve. So I just love this story, Jacob, because it's so important to integrate people with disabilities into the normalization of society, whether it's working or it's a summer camp. I used to work at an all-inclusive summer camp. And so just kind of making sure that people feel like they are a part of something that is bigger than themselves is important.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this story blends perfectly with the morning motivation today. This quote today is from Dolly Parton.
Yes, it is. And she says, if you see someone without a smile today, give them yours. I love this quote because smiles really are contagious.
You know that song from Annie? You never fully dress without a smile?
There you go.
That's a good one. And I will say that Java ability story definitely put a smile on my face.
Wonderful. I definitely have to go visit because I know it'll put a smile on mine. I want a smile from Zach. That's what I want. Well, still to come on Weekend Mornings in entertainment news, Will Loper has the 3 things you need to watch. Stick with us. We're back in a bit.
Well, I touched on it earlier. We are going to see some lower air quality this weekend. Here's a look at the current air quality alerts. Pretty much all of, literally all of Wisconsin is under that air quality alert, and all of Minnesota. This is going to last through noon on Monday. Now, at this hour, air quality not too bad. In fact, it's actually at good levels in southern Wisconsin. But you can see further northwest, La Crosse and areas to the west and northwest of that, starting to see that wildfire smoke move back into the region, and really a lot of Minnesota, not just at unhealthy for some, at just generally unhealthy levels. Now, it's unclear just how far in the scale we'll get, but here's a look at the smoke forecast. It is expected to push across our area, especially by the evening. And then once we get to the overnight hours, it's going to continue, and that's going to continue for Sunday as well. Might get a little bit better on Sunday, especially later in the day Sunday, but not ideal, obviously. And it really sucks considering how good the forecast is going to be beyond that. Now, we have a small chance of rain today, but we'll see a lot of sunshine and comfortable temperatures.
Okay, so aside from the air quality, it's not too bad. Just a couple of showers. We'll be okay. We'll be okay, especially if you are planning on heading out to any of the events this weekend. La Fête des Marquettes continues at McPike Park, on Madison's east side. Now, the event continues to bring 2 more days of music, food, and culture, all while supporting the Wilmar neighborhood. The event is free and goes until tomorrow.
And if you're driving in that area this weekend near Madison's east side, be aware of some closures. South Ingersoll is closed between East Main and East Wilson until Monday. And then South Brearley is closed from East Main to Capitol City Trail until 10 p.m. tomorrow.
And switching gears here, there's clearly no shortage of films and shows streaming.
Our Will Loper shares a few of the best in this weekend's 3 Things to Watch.
You know, most cops will take the day off after the night you had.
You're still getting to know me.
Solve a mystery with the series Ballard, newly streaming on Amazon Prime Video.
Kind of funny, really, that you're working in cold cases. You've got a few to deal with yourself.
Maggie Q plays Detective Renee Ballard, who must solve a murder and uncovers conspiracies along the way.
These cases, they are connected. You're unhappy.
Leaving me is the worst thing that anyone's ever done.
Change your life. Go to London.
Seriously?
You love London. You saw Spice World 9 times in the theater.
Get swept up in a romance with Too Much, newly streaming on Netflix.
This is the London I came here for. It's like out of a movie.
Yeah, a horror movie. These people are full of pent-up rage and dark secrets.
I know, but look, it's a yellow house.
Lena Dunham brings us a new story following a woman who moves to London after a breakup and while there, falls for a musician.
I have a very chaotic mind.
Maybe I choose chaos. Oh my God!
To me, making Jaws was a life-altering experience.
This mystical connection between hero and monster.
And celebrate the upcoming Shark Week with Jaws at 50, the definitive inside story, newly streaming on Disney+.
The film was 100 days behind schedule, and 80% of the time the shark didn't work.
There was a strong undercurrent that the studio would close us down.
I was terrified I was going to be fired, but I never once felt like I wanted to quit.
See the behind-the-scenes story of one of the biggest blockbusters of all time.
It was sort of life-changing.
It's the film I've seen the most.
It wasn't just a movie, it was a pop culture phenomenon, like that.
Those are the 3 things you need to watch, and this is Will Loper for Weekend Mornings.
Thank you, Will.
Have you seen Jaws?
You know, I did the older ones back in the day. You know, I remember sitting in my high school film literature class, and they were talking about how it increased the fear of sharks, that public fear.
I remember my parents telling me about it, and that was the movie that kickstarted like the summer blockbuster. I don't know if you knew
yeah.
that. Basically, because now like a bunch of like big movies come out in the summertime, and Jaws was the movie that
the one that
kickstarted all that.
started it all off, yeah, which is so cool. And you know, summer season, even though those ones don't win the awards like we talked about last
I like
weekend.
them more, honestly. They're more enjoyable for the most part.
Maybe you're just a summer movie guy.
Sometimes they are. The Oscar movies are really good though. But honestly, I'd say across the board, I enjoy the summer movies more.
All right, well, thank you, Jacob. Before we had to break, here's a look at last night's winning numbers. Stick with us. A weed farm arresting 200, including a former Iraq veteran.
To be seeing much drier conditions this weekend, but it won't be all positive. I'll talk more about that coming up in just a bit.
Well, good morning and thanks for waking up with us today. It is Saturday, July 12th. I'm Michelle Renee Quinn and you are watching Weekend Mornings. So depending on your location this morning, you might be waking up to some serious damage. Definitely for some of those viewers in the south of Madison. You can see here, this is the storm that passed through southern Wisconsin last night. And it definitely left some damages as well. Take a look at this vehicle. Now that's from Bailey Hill and it was taken in Monroe. Those winds in Monroe were insane yesterday. Let's see what meteorologist Jacob Montesano has to say about last night's storms. He's live from our studio in Madison. Good morning.
Good morning, Michelle Renee, and here's a look at the storm reports, mostly south of Madison, and these are all wind gusts or wind damage reports. There were some flooding reports as well, but I do want to highlight one in particular. It's funny how you mentioned Monroe, because that's where I'm going to highlight it. The estimated radar wind speed was 79 miles per hour at this time, which is borderline an EF0 tornado, but these winds occurred on a much larger area than a tornado does, so definitely a very damaging storm that rolled through the region last night. And we also saw plenty of rain on top of that. Now the storm did dissipate a little bit as it pushed from west to east, so far southwest Wisconsin did see a little bit more rainfall than areas to the east, but everyone saw plenty of rain. Just the southwest portion of Wisconsin did have some flooding concerns with that rainfall. Now here's a look at the current radar. Not really seeing much, a few showers up near La Crosse, but that is just about it. Now we could see some rain today, but anything that does fall will be very isolated and very brief, but some pop-up showers and thunderstorms are still possible, mainly for Madison and areas to the east. So if you have any outdoor plans, no need to cancel them. Just bring an umbrella. It'll be very brief if it does rain. But unfortunately, we are going to see some low air quality this weekend, and that's really going to be the only negative in the forecast. So I'll talk more detail about that still coming up a bit later.
All right, thanks, Jacob. We'll check back in shortly. Now to our top stories. Federal agents arrested 200 people during raids at a marijuana farm in California this week. The Department of Homeland Security says they're investigating possible child labor, exploitation, and human trafficking at the Ventura County facility. Meanwhile, families are searching for their detained loved ones, including relatives of a disabled Army veteran who got caught up in the operation. His family says he's a U.S. citizen who works as a security guard and wasn't protesting when federal agents detained him.
He fought for this country. He is an Iraq veteran. He has disabled veteran on his license plate. He fought for freedom for this country, and he's not even free.
Like, not right. They straight violated his rights. Like, that's not okay. That is not okay. I'm not okay with this.
Agents broke his car window, pepper sprayed him, and threw him to the ground. Meanwhile, President Trump posted on social media last night calling the protesters thugs and directing law enforcement to arrest anyone who throws rocks or bricks at officers. While in custody, the former vet will miss his daughter's 3rd birthday. Switching gears here, you're taking a live look at the Capitol this morning, where President Trump has given dozens of countries until the end of the month to strike a new trade deal. That's including one of America's largest trading partners and allies. The president says Canada has already responded to his letter warning of 35% taxes on Canadian imports. Canada's Prime Minister saying on social media, the Canadian government has steadfastly defended our workers and businesses, and they will continue to do so.
We've been taken advantage of for many, many years by countries, both friend and foe. And frankly, the friends have been worse than the foes in many cases.
Meanwhile, Secretary of State Marco Rubio says the odds are high that President Trump will meet with Canada's president to discuss trade this year. Wisconsin House Representatives Tom Tiffany and Glenn Grothman have endorsed a letter urging Canada to improve its forest management practices. The letter cites issues with smoke and air quality from Canadian wildfires. Representative Tiffany said in a post on X, quote, "Our communities shouldn't suffer because of poor decisions made across the border." Manitoba's premier says the letter dismisses Canadian losses and the work done by American fire crews. Meanwhile, President Trump visited Central Texas yesterday, seeing for himself the damage from last week's flash flooding that killed more than 120 people. The visit comes amid questions about the Trump administration's plans to phase out the Federal Emergency Management Agency. The president has signed a disaster declaration for the region.
FEMA has deployed multiple emergency response units, and FEMA has been really headed by some very good people. We have some good people running FEMA. It's about time.
Law enforcement officials say there are more than 2,100 responders on the ground working to find the remaining victims. New this morning, a man from Monroe is dead after he fell from his e-bike in a parking lot. Around 10 a.m. Thursday, police were called to find 72-year-old David Salone semi-conscious in the parking lot. They took him to SSM Monroe Clinic Hospital, where he later died from his injuries. An investigation found that Salone was inexplicably thrown from the bike while it was in motion. No other people or vehicles were involved in the fall, and officials are calling this a, quote, freak accident. Loved ones are mourning the loss of David and Terry Papps, the man and women killed in a double homicide in the town of Middleton Tuesday. In an exclusive interview, our Maddie Heimsch sits down with one of those loved ones who says Terry Papps will not only be missed by friends and family, but by her students as well.
Terry Papps taught special education at Thoreau Elementary, and according to those who worked with her every day, she was the very definition of a special ed teacher.
Anything that a student needed, she would drop everything and do it.
They say people never forget how you made them feel. And according to her co-teachers, Terry Papps students always felt special.
I had one student in particular. She could spot Miss Terry from the other side of the hall, and the minute she saw her, I knew my lesson was over, because it was, "Miss Terry, take me, Miss Terry, take me," and it couldn't be mad because I agreed. I wanted to go with Miss Terry too.
Stacy Aparicio Smith is an English language teacher at Thoreau. She and Terry shared several students.
A lot of the students she worked with, had a lot of struggles.
Meaning she got an inside look at that special feeling Terry always instilled.
She would always focus on what could they do, what are they capable of. She always tried to make people feel like they were important and show interest in their lives.
When Stacy learned her students wouldn't have Miss Terry cheering them on next school year,
I was just devastated. I was just sort of numb. It just didn't seem possible. Like, one of the best people just doesn't seem like that should happen.
She and the rest of the staff at Thoreau began brainstorming ways to honor her when classes start back up.
We're talking about murals and gardens, planting a garden because she loved gardening.
In hopes that after a lifetime of making everyone else feel special, they could make it known just how special Terry really was.
It's going to be really hard coming back to school without her.
Reporting in Madison, I'm Maddie Heimsch, News 3 Now.
Thank you, Maddie. Meanwhile, friends and family are saying goodbye to Officer Kendall Corder, who is being laid to rest yesterday at Wisconsin Memorial Park in Milwaukee. Corder was shot and killed in what officers call an ambush on June 26th. He's the 6th Milwaukee officer killed in the line of duty since 2018 and the 68th in the department's 169-year history. Tremaine Jones is charged with first-degree intentional homicide among other felony charges. He's due back in court next Friday for a preliminary hearing. That suspect is 22-year-old, once again, Tremaine Jones, facing several charges. The Madison Police and Fire Commission announces 3 finalists for the city's next police chief. John Patterson, the current acting police chief in Madison, a 27-year-old veteran of the Madison Police Department. Captain Stephanie Drescher is a finalist. She's been with MPD for 16 years. And the Milwaukee Assistant Police Chief Stephen Johnson, who has been with the department since 1997. Final interviews will be conducted on August 14th. A child is dead following a UTV crash in Grant County. The crash was reported at around 10 o'clock yesterday morning on private property off Hurricane Road in South Lancaster. A child was doing farm chores when they lost control and rolled the UTV over. The child was pinned underneath the vehicle and died at the scene. An investigation is still ongoing. And before we head to break, it's time for your playlist pick. No matter what they say. We didn't get to hear this one, so you're listening to Good Day by Forrest Frank. Feel free to create a weekend playlist with us by sending me a song with the subject playlist pick to Mr. Quinn at WISC-TV.com or to my Facebook page at Michelle Renee Quinn TV, and tune in weekend mornings to hear your song. Keep it here. We're back after this.
Welcome back. I've been talking about the air quality throughout the morning. Here's a look at the air quality alert across all of Wisconsin. This is going to last until noon on Monday. Now, right now, air quality in Madison is still at good levels, but you can see off to the northwest near La Crosse, some lower air quality just to the west and northwest, really impacting a lot of Minnesota right now. And that, unfortunately, is going to move across our area. Still unclear just how bad the air quality will get, but I'm going to guess we're going to see some locations see at least the unhealthy for some levels. Now, here's a look at the wildfire smoke forecast. It's really going to push into our area by the time we get to the evening, and it's going to continue to be across our area overnight and for most of Sunday. Does look like it will get a little bit better throughout the day on Sunday, but still going to kind of stick around. But then we may see more smoke move back into the area Sunday night into Monday. So as a whole, the air quality is not going to be great this weekend. And as I mentioned, it is a little bit unfortunate considering we're not going to see a lot of rainfall, and we'll see a lot of sunshine with pretty good temperatures during this weekend as well.
All right, Jacob. So yeah, unfortunately, the air is not cooperating with the otherwise good weekend forecast. Right. Gosh darn it. Well, we'll try again next week, I guess. Thank you. The annual art fair on the square returns to downtown after a rainy delay yesterday. The Madison Museum of Contemporary Art hosts the 67th annual event, and new this year is a beer and wine garden. This is through a partnership with Working Draft Beer Company and Square Wine Company.
Art Fair on the Square is big business for all the locally owned businesses around the Capitol Square, in and around downtown. It's also massively important for the hotels and the restaurants. People love to eat, to come downtown. There are many out-of-town visitors that like to stay. It's really big business for the local businesses. It's one of the highlights of the year, with absolutely huge crowds coming out and enjoying the best of downtown Madison.
The fair is today from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. and runs tomorrow from 10 to 5. Stop in for some art, entertainment, and good eats. You can also find the full list of participating artists on channel3000.com. Now, due to the events, multiple streets on Capitol Square are going to be closed. Those will reopen tomorrow night at 9:30. And if you're interested in going to the Dane County Farmers Market, that has now been moved to be at Breeze Stevens Field. You can find more information on the City of Madison's website. Also happening today and tomorrow is the 46th Annual Art Fair off the square. That's along Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. This is a sponsored and produced event by the Wisconsin Alliance of Artists and Craftspeople, WAAC. It's a nonprofit formed to promote and create contact between Wisconsin artists and craftspeople and the public. WAAC takes pride in having been created and operated by the artists themselves. Time now, 8:44. Coming up, a birthday showdown on the golf course and explosive plays making baseball history. That's still to come in your weekend sports.
And I'll be back with a full look at this weekend's forecast and beyond. Still coming up.
But first, if you have a little kid turning 3 soon, please let us know so we can share their picture on TV. You're watching Weekend Mornings. Keep it here.
Welcome back. Here's a final look at the 3 things you need to know. We are going to see a small chance of storms today, but sunny skies are in the forecast for Sunday and Monday. As I mentioned before the break, we are going to see that lower air quality today, which will be a blemish in the forecast. Otherwise, we're going to see a lot of sunshine and pretty good temperatures. Now, with that small chance of thunderstorms today, it will bring an even smaller chance at some minor severe weather. So areas north and east of Madison are in a marginal risk, but we're certainly not going to see widespread severe weather, and really the only hazard will be the potential for some strong winds, but the winds won't be nearly as strong as they were last night. So looking at the forecast throughout the day, a few of those isolated showers and thunderstorms will begin popping up in the afternoon, really impacting Madison and areas to the east. Places to the west of Madison, very unlikely to see any rainfall today. And once we get to the overnight hours, we are going to be dry with some on and off cloudy skies, but we are going to see a good amount of sunshine once we get into the day on Sunday, with dry conditions continuing for much of the day. Now, as we take a look at the temperature forecast during that time, we are going to be seeing highs in the upper 70s to lower 80s. That's for today. So again, a lot of sunshine, just that very small chance of rain. And then for your Sunday, we're going to see sunshine pretty much the entire day, with highs in the middle to lower 80s. So maybe a little bit warmer, but otherwise, temperatures are going to be pretty similar to what they will be today. Now let's fast forward a little bit towards next week. Here's a look at the forecast starting Tuesday, where the rain does look to return to our area. Not going to see a lot Tuesday, but we do have a chance of storms returning. Wednesday looks like a day where we'll see potentially a lot of rainfall, as some scattered showers and thunderstorms are in the forecast for the afternoon and evening. Could potentially see some severe weather, although the extent of the severe weather right now still a bit unclear. Some rain is expected to continue into Thursday, but Thursday won't be quite as rainy. But the big story Thursday is that we'll see cooler temperatures. Now, I do want to recap all the rain chances first. So small chance of rain today, pretty much dry the rest of the weekend. May see an isolated shower Monday, but mostly dry for that day as well. Tuesday, the rain chances increase, and then they continue to increase for Wednesday. And then into Wednesday night, we're going to continue to see that rainfall, and that's going to cause some temperatures to drop. As highs will only be in the 70s for Wednesday through Friday. They may warm back up for next weekend as we have more chances of rainfall during that time frame. But no days in the 10-day forecast are going to be brutally hot. Now, Monday and Tuesday, we will see warmer temperatures, but they're only going to be in the upper 80s, and we haven't had a day where we've experienced very uncomfortable temperatures in a while, and we're going to continue to not see any of those days, which is certainly some good news. Definitely on the warmer side, especially during the afternoon hours, but hard to complain too much about the temperature forecast over the next 10 days. And as far as storms, again, small chance today, better chance on Wednesday. Now here's Zach with some morning sports.
The Bucks officially introduced Miles Turner Friday afternoon, but it wasn't in Milwaukee. Instead, the Deer's new big man was welcomed to the franchise in Las Vegas, because that's where everyone is with the NBA's Summer League going on. Now, regardless of where it happened, Turner is a Buck, and a big reason why he's in Milwaukee and not Indiana, because he believes this team can get him back to the NBA Finals.
Being in the NBA Finals, something that was one of the greatest learning experiences I've ever had. You just realize how hard it is to get there, how hard it is to win, just how mentally exhausting it is, physically, everything. It's just one of the best experiences of my entire life. And the only thing that went into this decision was getting to get that experience once again. And I saw fit with an opportunity here to make that happen.
This has to be the year for Joe Pavelski to win the American Century Championship, right? Last year he finished runner-up. The year before he took third, but this time around there hasn't been any hockey to worry about. Just the former Badger and his game of golf. Former Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers also playing at Lake Tahoe, showing off his horse game. Well, Pavelski, the birthday boy, was dialed in. On 10, he rolls in the putt for one of his 3 birdies on the day. And after the first round, well, Pavelski sits in first place with a 1-shot lead. Brewers taking on the Nationals in their final series of the first half of their season. And they spotted Washington a run-1 lead, and then they went to work in the third. William Contreras rips one down the first base line to give the home team a 2-1 lead. Then a couple batters later, Christian Yelich is up, and he's going to send a 2-run jack to the second deck for his 19th homer of the year. That caps off a 6-run inning. They'd go on to win 8-3 and are now 1 game behind the Cubs with a race for first place in the NL Central standings. And just 25 2/3 innings into his major league career, Jacob Misiorowski has been named to the NL's All-Star team. The Miz's 5 starts are the fewest in MLB history before a first All-Star selection, breaking Paul Skeens' record of 11. And that's it for Morning Sports. Have a great day.
are. So this is a yearly nomination and staff survey that provides local employers the opportunity to learn more about the engagement and satisfaction of their employees and honor those who deliver an outstanding work experience. Nominations for 2026 Best Places to Work are open now through August 22nd, and those winners will be celebrated along with our Best of Madison Business Award winners at Madison Magazine's Best of Business Annual Luncheon in February. And if you see more motorcycles on the road this weekend, that's due to the Harley-Davidson Homecoming Festival in Milwaukee. Nearly 100,000 motorcycles will hit the streets to celebrate all things Harley. Most start their weekend with tours at the Harley-Davidson Museum downtown, followed by the factory and headquarters. Now, this event commemorates 122 years of the motorcycle manufacturer, and all events on the museum grounds are free. Finally this morning, gaming for a good cause. A high-speed gaming convention is being held in Minneapolis this weekend, and it's combining competition and charity. Playing games in a format called speed running, where gamers attempt to play through a game as fast as possible. The Summer Games Done Quick convention features a full-blown arcade, a variety of vendors, and board games. Most importantly, they're gaming for a good cause, raising money for Doctors Without Borders. That's an organization that delivers emergency medical aid to people in crisis in over 70 countries. Since their partnership began, the competitions have raised more than $50 million, $2.5 million last year alone. Can you believe that?
Yeah, so I had to laugh. You know what's You've heard of speed running in video games before?
I have, yes.
Yeah, some of them are quite insane. I like video games, but I'm not to that level yet. So
I like video games too, but I could never run through. Like, I like to explore, look around, all that stuff.
I like to chill when I play games for sure.
Absolutely. Well, up next you have Mission Unstoppable. Thanks so much for tuning in to Weekend Mornings.